Hi, I'm Darryn Farrugia and welcome. I'm sorry it's been so long, everybody. I don't even know what to say. Anyway, I'm back and hopefully I'll be back way more regularly now. So anyway, I wanted to talk about bass drum beaters today, and in particular, some locally made bass drum beaters that are made here in Melbourne. So let me give you some backstory here. Some time ago, I was contacted by a gentleman whose name is Guy Dublé. And Guy Dublé is the principal timpanist with Orchestra Victoria here in Melbourne. And he is quite an exceptional and very, very knowledgeable musician. Now, in addition to this, he also makes incredible tambourines, timpani mallets, and these incredible bass drum beaters, which I'm going to show you today. So I want to talk a little bit about the bass drum beaters. So I think traditionally speaking, most of us who are playing contemporary music would use this sort of type of felt beater or some kind of hybrid beater where you've got a hard surface on one side and perhaps felt on the other side. This is hard plastic and the other side is felt. And then there are others like, wood beaters of different sizes and different shapes and all of that sort of stuff. Sometimes it's just good to have alternatives. So let's go back many years ago, for example, and you would use a pair of sticks and then you might pull out a pair of brushes, and then your other implement might be a pair of mallets, and then we got into the blast sticks and the hot rods and all sorts of variations on those things as well. So I think the same could be said for bass drum beaters. Now, anyone who knows me knows that I like to support locally and independently made products, and so here I am wanting to support Guy Dublé because his products are really amazing. So after Guy and I spoke on the phone, I invited him here and he brought some of his beaters along to show me, and I've got a couple of them here, but he has more in his selection that I'm going to show you today. I picked out two that I really like, and these are the two that I'm going to share with you. So the first one that I tried out that I really, really liked and had to have was this one made of layers of kangaroo leather. So this is just basic. I wouldn't even know where to start counting, but there's just layer upon layer of thin kangaroo leather, and as you can see, there's some kangaroo fur on the top and the bottom. And what I really loved about this particular beater was that at lower volumes, the tone of the bass drum was still quite warm and fat. Now, when you have particularly a harder beater, when you play it quietly, you get a lot of click, but you don't get a lot of warmth from the bass drum. So this one sounded great at lower volumes. So I'm going to reinsert this one and just give you a few hits on the bass drum at different volumes. Now, before I play a note, I want you to know that I have a microphone in front of the bass drum. The bass drum has a little bit of padding in it, and there is absolutely no EQ or compression on the bass drum. So you're just hearing the bass drum going straight into my interface. It's not going through any preamp, so there's no coloration. So this is just purely the bass drum going into the interface. So low volume. So I really like that because it's still got quite a big sound, but at a much lower volume. It's not just point and no tone, for example. So then as I start to play this a bit harder, a bit louder, you do get a lot more of the fatness and warmth of the bass drum. And to me, that's a really great alternative to either a hard beater like a wooden beater or a plastic beater, and certainly a good alternative to a felt beater. So this is layers of kangaroo skin. Now, they also come in different diameters, different weights, I guess. And the other thing too is you can also get a hard kangaroo skin beater, so that does have a little bit more point, perhaps a little bit more impact. But like I said, probably best to check out the website. I'll leave a link to that below, and you can have a look and see what's available. So this is the kangaroo leather bass drum beater. So let me just play some grooves for you. I'll play this so you can get a bit of context. So that's a beta that I've been using a lot recently in here. I've been recording with it. I've been playing on people's tracks here, recording people's tracks and using this, and it sounds great and records really well. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos where I've featured the bass drum pedal or the bass drum itself, you may have noticed that I've been using this particular beta. This is a low boy. This is a popular beta, and I really like the weight of it and the balance of it. And as you can see, it has a red leather patch on it. I'm going to talk about this in a minute because there's a nice little story that goes with this too. Now, for low volume playing, jazz playing, feathering, what traditionally has been used over the years is something like this. This is one of those fluffy lamb's wool bass drum beaters where you get a very, very low impact, and it's a nice sort of soft, very round sound for feathering and playing at lower volumes. So this one is made by Vader. I think Vic Firth make them, a few people make them, but there's a great alternative that you can get made by T-Labs. So let me show you this. So like the previous beta that I've been using, which is layers of kangaroo leather, this is layers of flannel. Now, Guy actually hand dyes the flannel. He can make them into whatever color you want. So I've got this sort of brightly colored rainbow cake kind of beta, but you can have them in your country's flag colors, you can have them in your favorite football team or baseball team's colors, whatever, and they are personalized. And when I talk about personalized, it's also this: he will stamp your name in the top washer. So I'm going to put this in and I'm going to show you, some examples of what these sound like. This is a really great alternative to that big fluffy beta that you would see jazz drummers use. So remember, the attack with this is going to be much softer. So for low volumes, for feathering, it's going to be a great alternative, as I said, to the fluffy woolen beater. So let me give you an example of just feathering 4 on the floor in a jazz context. If I wanted to drop some bombs in that little example and play some accents on the bass drum, then as you play at a louder volume or as you play with more velocity, then you will get, a little bit slightly more point, not too much point, but you still get that beautiful articulate sound. So this is the feathering sound. And then I really like the sound of that. Warm, not too much point, but enough punch as well. Let me give you an example of that. So a bass drum beater like this is great when you have to keep the volume down. If you're playing in a setting where you can't play too loud, this is a great way of keeping the bass drum volume down. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a straight 8th groove. I'm going to play quietly to begin with this beater, and then I'll step up the volume. So this is the beater that I had been using for quite a while in here. This is a low boy beater, and it had cow fur on the beater side. And that cow fur had eventually worn down to the point where it was pretty much wood. So I mentioned this to Guy and he said, yeah, I'll fix it for you. So he took it away and brought it back. That red leather that you see on the front of this beater comes from an Aussie Rules Sherrin football, an actual Aussie Rules Sherrin football, which I thought was quite a nice Australian touch. I would urge you to check these out, and I would also urge you to check out some of his other products. Like I said, he makes a variety of bass drum beaters, you know, for orchestral players, and also different types of mallets for vibraphone and other things like that. And also check out his tambourines. So check out his website. Like I said, I'll leave a link to that in the description underneath this video. And I really wanted to thank Guy for helping me out. If you get to see him perform with Orchestra Victoria, you're in for a treat because he is a magnificent musician, and we are really lucky to have him in town, not only as a performer, but also as, you know, a manufacturer of these really great products. Now, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe, and remember to hit that notification bell so you know when I've uploaded a video. So until the next one, stay safe and stay happy. See you all soon. Bye.